Okay, recording in progress. Welcome. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for some, probably. Welcome to our next webinar. The cycle we created is about AI in business in general, mastermind discussions with guests, hosted by Visionaries NV and TechEdge Dynamics. My name is Tomasz Boinski. I'm your host, a friendly host for this meeting and for the future. And every month we're gonna have different guests. Today with us we have Daniel, our friend from Poland, who's actually right now visiting us in States. But before we're gonna hopping into discussion a little bit about Visionaries NV and TechEdge Dynamics. Visionaries NV is a company which is helping other companies around the world, from Europe, from Asia, to do a soft landing in States, to establish a business in America, in the United States, and grow the business, scale the business, and of course, emerging startups willing to start operations in States. TechEdge Dynamics, I'm affiliated with both companies. TechEdge Dynamics is a venture studio, a software house, and business consulting company helping entrepreneurs build their software solutions and scale their business in States. Let's welcome Daniel. Daniel is our partner. Yes, but before that, maybe one more last word about me. I'm a technical person working multiple years in the industry, same as Daniel. So today we're gonna have like a very interesting discussion from the technical perspective, not only business perspective. Daniel, yes, back to you. My apologies, probably the welcome note is a little bit too long. But yes, Daniel, tell us something about you. I would like to know what are you doing in your professional life? What are your goals and what kind of technical experience you have?
Sure. Yeah, thank you for the introduction. Don't worry. It's great that you provided all the details. Yeah, as you've mentioned, I'm also the partner of TechEdge Dynamics. I'm the founder of Master Key Software, the partner company of TechEdge Dynamics here in the States. I'm also the member of the Visionaries NV community. I really appreciate its value, and it helps a lot with the expansion to across the pond. About myself, um, I grew up
Software
as a
developer,
software
software
developer.
developer.
Yes, I've been a software developer throughout most of my career. Um, I've been dealing with various technologies, with various industries, with various um, niches. So hence, I consider myself a bit of an IT wizard. Um, I've been tinkering with the computers since I was a child. I've created my first website when I was 11. And yeah, I would like to provide some input into today's discussion and see where it goes, see what conclusions we may get altogether. So yeah, I'll be happy to proceed
Okay.
to our topic.
Thank you, Daniel. One last remark before we're gonna start our discussion. We are both affiliated with Visionary SNV, so guys, I'm speaking right now to the audience. Feel free to DM us in or call us later on after the webinar if you will have some kind of questions about the value that Visionary SNV can provide to your businesses. Okay, Daniel. That's going to be a very interesting discussion. I'm looking forward into it. First of all, let's start with very, I would say, easy question to discuss. Let's share basically our history of AI, uh, how we embraced AI in our lives, in professional lives. Probably there's something interesting to share. Probably we both started doing AI stuff before it went public, global, mainstream. So that's how I would like to start. So is the question your AI history and your reflection right now to close this question? Is it going in a good direction? Is it going in a bad direction? Your general reflection. After your answer, I will also like answer this question. Okay, Daniel. So the floor is
Mm-hmm.
yours.
All right. Okay, so basically the question is whether I'm satisfied with the AI.
In your history, your start, your first like experiments, your first.
Experiments. Well, definitely AI is a very broad term. There are very sub areas to this major, let's say, industry. Nowadays, when somebody mentions AI, they typically mean large language models and agentic AI based on those. But let's not forget that AI also involves machine learning or even such a bit archaic solutions like fuzzy logic, where the models could also be tuned using learning algorithms. In those cases, of course, the number of parameters which were tuned was much lower than those which are found in neural networks. I'm mentioning that because actually that was the main topic of my master thesis. So when you're asking about history, I could safely recall that example as one of my first experiences with artificial intelligence. So yeah, it's been really
How you perceive AI right now?
revolutionary
Like,
progress since those technologies up to where we currently are. Although I don't want to abuse the phrase artificial intelligence because, well, I think we're all aware that it's far from truth.
okay, so how do you perceive AI right now? The direction it is going right now. Yesterday we had like yesterday, the day before, we had a very loud and very, I would say, loud interview from Sal Altman, who were comparing training models to raising a child, a kid, a human being. It sparked a lot of controversy. Can we compare AI and human? So what about you? What do you think about AI in general, the direction it is going, the whole race among the top players?
I think that, like in every technology, as the complexity grows, maybe let me rephrase that. As the development progresses, the complexity of the solutions rarely the complexity tends to flatten out. So I'm convinced that what we see nowadays is best case scenario 80-90% of it holds 80 to 90% of the capabilities that this generation of AI technologies is going to ever reach. So although see AI CEOs are claiming that soon they're going to reach what's it called? Well, generally like the
Hmm.
independent actual artificial intelligence. I doubt that it's going to happen. I think that the complexity of those solutions grows exponentially. So in order to achieve, so with every phase, in order to make a step, the order of magnitude of work required to implement that step is just it increases each time. Hence, I doubt that we're going to see any significant progress soon. We should embrace what we've discovered so far,
Hmm. Hmm.
and basically what we've discovered so far is a very well is a I would call it a uh, rich language predictor.
Gotcha.
Let's put it that.
Okay. Thank you for this, Daniel. Now we're touching. I think we're touching. Very close to the topic for today's meeting, the responsible part of AI. From my perspective, I use this word race consciously because what I see, I believe we all can witness this. There's a huge race going on between top players, top platforms providing AI services, generative AI services, of course. And we see this race is getting tension. attention and is getting more and more controversial because of resources needed to, at least for sure, to power the infrastructure for AI. This is a very hot topic, the grid, electrical grid, the chips, all necessary resources, which are high demand right now. And I think the most interesting facts and things we are seeing are related to this responsible race in the meaning of how much AI is interfering with current landscape of software or other services. I think this is the best predictor we can see. It's a very nice, I think, nice way to track this by tracking what's going on in the stock market, what's going on with the big players, big companies. I will give an example. I love this example. This is an example really from yesterday. The stocks of IBM are going down, drastically going down because of new cloud service for refactoring COBOL language. As we know, COBOL is IBM's solution, and we have a new tool from Claude, from Anthropic, to refactor and work with the code. So the whole legacy solution is basically undertaking taking a huge shift because of AI. And we're gonna see this even more often. We're gonna see a lot of startups which will struggle, and a lot of startups which will struggle because AI, generative AI, the top players, the platforms will take over some functions, take over some functionalities, like from the last week. Cybersecurity, new tools, AI tools from the bigger players, which are basically like substitutes to well-established cybersecurity companies right now. Another interesting fact. Okay, so this is the one of the responsibilities and the responsible factors to discuss. What do you think will happen in the future? Like now, we're gonna see this pressure, enormous pressure for AI big players taking over the market in more different places. Even in consulting, those big players are also offering consulting services. We have huge pressure over job market, and we have a huge pressure workforce. So how can we conclude this also from your perspective as a software developer from the industry, which is also under huge pressure? We're gonna discuss this in a minute. How you perceive this race, and how you perceive this pressure and growing pressure over different industries. Which direction it is
I mean,
going?
my short answer is that AI has replaced people. This agentic AI has replaced people in the world of translations, in simple translations industry, in simple graphics generation. Well, let's call it generation, but actually graphical work, and in simple coding. That's it. So this is my
Okay,
simple answer. My
so
my
for now there is no risk of AI taking over the whole industry from a perspective.
I believe that I've just read either yesterday or 2 days ago a report by Gartner, which which basically reports that across huge companies, basically corporations who have introduced, well, who all of them have introduced AI, 8% of those do not see any benefits of AI introduction. So basically, we're getting to the point where the hype is about to die. They had been trying to do that because of the hype, and well, most of the CEOs were just trying to force their employees to start using that because hoping for some magical results. But ultimately, not knowing the actual benefits and actual risks, they put all the companies at risks as well. And the practice has proven that although it may be usable in numerous very simple, very basic cases, it doesn't make it barely benefits to more complicated cases which require cooperation of either several people or are involving, or in more technical terms, are involving several code bases or several modules where technical solutions need to be properly architectured. So, in other terms, we're getting to the conclusion which most of us had for quite some time already. AI is basically a dumb, autistic junior software engineer.
Okay, I think we can agree on this. I also think the same way as you. AI is very good for very simple work, simple tasks, but struggle with very sophisticated production-ready work. But we shall see. We shall see what the future will bring to us. Let's discuss last technical topic before we're gonna discuss other business topics around AI. Pros and cons of AI in daily operations, business as usual. As we both work professionally as entrepreneurs, probably there's a lot of cases to discuss. But last but not least, technical topic: vibe coding, which is very hot right now, and the responsibility behind this. We know that AI as a solution, AI can't take the role of responsible entity fully. It's always the human who's behind it, who's creating those solution vibing or creating like any let's say any kind of a code, AI code. So what's your take on this hot topic of vibe coding? How should we approach this trend? And from your perspective, practical perspectives, what are the good cases? How to use it, leverage it, and what are the risks and trade-offs or tricky parts of this technology?
Well, to simply state it, I think that vibe coding and the tools which allow us to do that, namely agentic coding AI, is more or less the same kind of progress which was made in the 90s or the late 80s with the introduction of tools such like Photoshop or CorelDRAW when it comes to graphical design. So that allowed basically a lot of people, a lot of people involved with artistic activities to perform their tasks much quicker when focusing on and to focus only on the broader scope. So likewise, with the introduction of agentic AI, we are able to think in more like in blocks rather than to focus on syntax of basic statements. Although when we really need to be careful about what we would like to implement, still we need to focus on the syntax as well. And when it comes to the vibe coding itself, well, I think likewise, it allows us to just play around with what we would like to create, see whether that makes sense, whether we're heading in the proper direction. So, like we could having a Photoshop, we could turn our grandma into let's say a goblin.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise, we can nowadays see whether a game which allows um, to shoot Christmas goblins with snowballs, whether it's um, a catchy, whether it could be a catchy
All
market.
those space flight simulators, like you can fly, you
Yeah,
shoot different objects in space.
or
That's very
that. So
popular. That was
basically, it
very
allows us
popular.
to implement and test very basic, very simple ideas, and then to take them and either continue into either develop further into bigger projects, or to dump them as soon as we realize that these don't make any sense.
Gotcha. Gotcha. From my perspective, on vibe coding, of course, I'm also insider from the industry. Uh, what I see as a very common, very obvious good side of vibe coding is that we can do a lot of things quite faster. So the speed. So there's obvious the symptom of speed increase in delivery. We can build things much faster right now. Okay, but the speed is not what we basically the desire at the end, and it's some kind of a trap from my perspective, because now we have bottlenecks elsewhere. So we had a bottleneck in development process, old school fashioned development process, a team developing features, working with code, fixing bugs, refactoring, adding new features. But now we can speed up this exponentially, but the decision making or order bottlenecks are now somehow shifting, occurring elsewhere. And I see right now with vibe coding, that's the trade-off. There's a huge problem with processing all those decisions, whatever the decision that might be, like tests. Okay, you can automate tests. Okay, fair. But there are other decisions like business decision, business drivers for the features or for priorities, and we're putting a lot of pressure now on the different bottlenecks, creating new bottlenecks for the process, mostly with decision making for product owners, product managers, product people, basically. So now the delivery is not it's not the bottleneck. Now the probably the business decision is a bottleneck. So now shifting towards business. One remark, guys, for our audience, all of you who are with us, drop your questions in the chat. Feel free to drop a question. We're gonna discuss now the business aspects of AI, more moving towards business, and we're gonna, after like two probably questions, we're gonna take one or two questions from the chat. So feel free to ask, drop any kind of question regarding this meeting or any kind of a question regarding AI. We can say we are the AI experts working with AI for years. I started my AI journey like years ago with I forgot to share this fact. Fun fact about me: I started doing AI stuff like machine learning stuff years ago with like I think first public iteration of open source YOLO library. With this library, you could basically train visual recognition, AI visual recognition. I remember like training my YOLO model using YOLO library, my model with like 50,000 of some kind of open source library with numbers to create a solution for vision impaired people to recognize the bus numbers. Like imagine like a bus incoming to you on the bus stop to recognize the number. So yeah, so and then I remember 2022, if that's correct, like the first day of ChatGPT 3.5. That was I think the beginning of real AI revolution, like when the generative AI large language models provided by chatbots uh, uh, went public. That was something that was a huge milestone for AI, I think, in general. Okay, so yeah, we have some questions. Let me just see. Let me click question and answers. Yes, okay, we have one first question. Thank you very much. We're gonna answer in a second. Now the business aspect, okay? Because like responsible AI in real business. Now let's switch the hat from engineers to business operatives, and let's start with maybe with something that we don't like. Okay, I really love this kind of questions, because like we can all agree we all like AI, we're using AI daily. I can bet everybody here with us is using AI daily in multiple occasions, and everybody can share some interesting stories. But let's start with this. What is triggering us? What is making us frustrated? What is frustrating us about this whole AI thing as business owners? I will start with you. I will leave this question with one last thought, and I will ask Daniel. Daniel, automation and spam. Your take about this one.
I mean, it brings a lot of value because that lets us to distinguish. It's easier to distinguish between those who always created spam, but now they're just more efficient at that, from those who bring actual value. So yeah, simply if you just take a look at LinkedIn, You can easily differentiate between people who provide actual intellectual input from those who just want to stay loud and hope to get noticed. So AI actually helped to make that differentiation, in my
Okay,
opinion.
Daniel. So now the bright side of the AI. So how are you using AI as a business owner, as an entrepreneur? Like give us like maybe three use cases, most popular use
Sure.
cases.
So actual proper case is doing research, although I'm not blindly trusting the results. So I typically use Perplexity AI to basically check the numbers, to do like pre research of the market. That's one case. Another is basically
Question. This is very interesting.
sure.
So will you find yourself in a situation you're gonna do more like chatbot research rather than classical Google lookup? Is it like do you see a trend more often asking AI, less asking Google?
Yeah, sure. So typically I'm looking for I typically prefer AI, although when I see that it's struggling with the results, that's when I step in and try to manually research things and
Hmm.
also verify the results with other models. So basically, and it also depends on how important the results are because
Okay, gotcha. So
because
we have
when the
research. So
numbers
we have
don't need to be
research.
very precise and I just need to vague facts, then it's fine. But when the numbers need to be really correct, then that's when I typically prefer to do the research on my
Gotcha.
own.
Okay, so we have research. Okay, second case.
Coding, simply coding, and
Got it.
well, the involvement of the AI depends on the complexity and the reliability of the project which I'm currently
Gotcha.
creating. When it's something that I don't care much about, I just vibe code everything. When it's something that I need to really focus on, then I even actually then I just ask for a vague for a generic template, and then I personally fill out the gaps by coding by performing old school coding myself.
So how much you think AI is boosting your efficiency?
It's hard to
For
give
your
an
work.
overall estimate because some tasks, because it depends on the task, and in some tasks
Hmm.
it improves the efficiency like 10 times, but in other cases it's completely unapplicable. So it just depends on the sort of tasks which I involved with on a given week.
Okay. Well, what about marketing? This is also a very important part of our business operations. Like your take
I
on
used it. I
marketing.
need to admit it that I at the very beginning I have used it, but I just admit that well, it just creates noise.
It's great noise.
So,
Okay, gotcha,
unless somebody has already prepared some sort of an article or well thought post, then
gotcha.
of course AI could be used to verify the and validate verify the punctuation, the grammar, and so on.
Do you
But
think this is more like a issue of the quality or the velocity? We
quality,
see a
definitely
low,
quality.
poor quality content, or we see too much content, or both.
Well, it could be both. I mean, to answer whether there is too much content, we need to
Hmm.
first ask whether the content is useful to us. Because, well, basically, it is very subjective, so it's hard to say whether there is too much content. If somebody finds that useful, then fine. I think that a lot of AI content is useless to most of us. Hence, we can easily say that there's an overflow of such spam, as you've already called it. But there are
Gotcha.
also cases where a certain piece of information could be valuable to one person, but could be completely useless to somebody else. So it's hard to estimate such case.
Gotcha. I think I came up with like a crazy idea for a startup venture, like to create like an AI agent service that will defend Guardian from the spam and high velocity
Mhm.
marketing. That might be interesting, like to integrate all your channels, like your mobile phone, your email, your social media, just spam, just flag out the noise. Okay, thank you for this. Actually, I had a second question, but I see this question in the chat, so let's focus to move on to this one.
Don't also forget about
Uh,
the QA.
yeah. I see. Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Great
got it.
question. Exactly. So that's exactly the second question I wanted to ask you. Um, mm, about the value. Yes, I love this one. PK, thank you so much for this. I'm going to read the question. Where is AI creating the most real value in your organization? So I will answer this question also. So let's take this question together about the value. So I will start. Let me start with this one, with answering to this one. From my perspective, as a person who's wearing like three different hats, working for multiple as a partner with multiple companies, also sharing my time as a freelancer, also building startups as a startup founder. I see a huge benefit using AI for different things. I would say those little small things we're doing all the day, like answering emails, answering text messages, all the DMs. Um, this is the huge value when you can basically basically use your time for more complicated, complex tasks, which will require more attention, and you can somehow delegate the small ones to AI. For instance, like drafting a message. This is huge one. Okay, you can create. You can just for any given message, email, social media DM, or even SMS on the mobile. You can ask AI, "Hey, draft me a message with with a I want to disagree for this proposition, for instance. I want to agree to this proposition, whatever, okay? You're going to get a draft message. You can fine tune or you can basically accept the draft. So I think the whole beauty, the whole value for me are those little small things. And I think I can pull back like 20% of my professional time during the day using AI on multiple devices. So I will basically park this value like this: desktop, mobile, every source of messaging, and I believe it's like 20% of my professional time daily when I can invest this 20% time elsewhere to create value, extra value or new value, create new value stream, whatever. But that's the beauty, okay? For heavy lifting, I believe me as a Pole, born and raised in Poland, for who English is not a native language, a mother tongue, I believe AI is the number one tool for every kind of quality control for the written text, everything. So that's me. That's no brainer. Very very popular things. I'm always writing something in English, but I'm using AI to make the fine tuning, and that's not a shame. So I don't I disagree with those arguments like every content is AI created. Yes, because we are all like living on one planet. We're using English language, and we're not all are like English native speakers. We all gonna use AI for fine tuning. So that's like a that's the argument which I would use, and that's my use case. Daniel, now how you gonna create value in your business?
Um, I mean, in general,
Coding, we know
in
coding
my
for sure.
case,
Yeah, it's
the
gonna help you with
applications
your.
are pretty similar to yours.
Mhm.
But what I've been thinking recently, and it somewhat addresses the remaining questions asked either in chat or in the Q&A feature, is to bring more value to what we're currently doing. And recently, so I would like to mention two things in that area. So recently, I've been using a Medusa.js framework, which is basically, simply speaking, like an e-commerce generator. Of course, it's not a generator per se. It's just basically you're provided with the bricks,
Mhm.
which just allow you to assemble a whole store. And recently, they've shared an agent which is tuned to the library. So this actually addresses an issue which people have been experiencing recently after with the introduction of the agentic coding, which is the issue with the integrations. So companies, so this actual framework provider, in addition to providing the framework, the JS framework itself, have provided also a plugin for Claude, which basically knows how to build things in that framework. So actually, although the major models may not be the major agent AI may not be accustomed to a specific version of the library because well they release
Hmm.
like often couple times a year or maybe even like once a month. So it's really hard to keep track of the changes and then to also be able to know how these changes need to need to function all together. So these plugins allow to improve the integration process by simply fine-tuning an existing model. And actually, I think that's a really good business idea. So if anybody's looking for a way to start a business or to expand their current business, um, that you could simply learn how to integrate code with external services of specific providers. And for each of those providers, create a plugin which fine-tunes, let's say, Claude to that specific version of the framework. Because that's the bottleneck nowadays, that basically developers are just vibe coding CRUD services, but then the CRUD needs to, let's say, integrate it with the payments provider. And to do that, well, the developer has to go through the whole documentation to understand how it works, let's say Stripe.
Gotcha.
But if there was a Stripe plugin for Claude, actually for Stripe, I guess
Hmm.
there could be, the Claude could perform the integration for us. So by creating, so basically the business idea is to create plugins which specialize in a very specific framework and just sell that either to developers or sell the whole project to the framework developer.
Gotcha. Thank you very much for this. We have two more questions. One I will take, I will just tease the answer. What is the most impressive example of AI changing how a company operates? So I'm still waiting for this one, and I believe we're gonna achieve a huge milestone when we're gonna see first startup unicorn with a one solo founder, zero employees, only artificial intelligence and agents, agentic AI. And I think that's gonna be huge milestone for AI changing how company operates. Basically, company with one and only solo founder and all the employees as AI. That's gonna be big. We're still waiting for this. There are some companies potential right now trending towards towards being an unicorn in the future, but we're gonna see. We shall see. For now, I'm just gonna refer the Gartner. 8% of the companies see real impact right now. The big players, I mean, like the big companies, big corporates, like thousands of probably employees. That's a different story for small entrepreneurs and the medium ones. But that's a difference. So maybe that's a discussion, good discussion for the next meeting in a month time to basically focus on only on small and medium businesses and AI use cases for small and medium how to thrive with AI. Okay, the last question, and this one is I'm gonna start with you, Daniel. So I'm gonna ask you for the answer. Is there any advantage in creating an AI model for a specific startup, uh, or use probably or use other like commodity like ChatGPT, which are available in the market? So we have this dilemma, founder's dilemma, starting a startup. Should I create my own model, train my own model, fine tune my model, or should I use like something from the shelf, like a commodity model? Daniel, what's your take
Sure.
on this
Yeah, so
practical?
that's what I actually wanted to address by writing my previous answer, that if a task is measurable, um, then fine-tuning an agent could solve a lot of work. So creating a plugin to simplify the integration with the external services or with some frameworks is one such example when it comes to coding. If there are other, so I need to admit, I haven't given it much thought outside that use case. So if there are other cases where the agent's work could be measured and because of that evaluated and its actual,
Mhm.
so I mean, by measure, I mean not only the performance could be measured, but also um, the actual work could easily be translated to values, then I think that would work pretty well. Although then we should also ask a question whether that would make sense, whether we really need an agentic AI to perform calculations-based work, because ultimately, why couldn't we just use a basic algorithm for that?
True.
So probably the answer is we that could be very useful in cases where we need to sort of mix algorithms with simple text processing, where the text could typically revolve around providing commands.
Gotcha. Gotcha, Daniel. Thank you for this. I will add one thing to this from the money-wise perspective, business perspective, like creating your own model, training your own model, fine-tuning your model, probably for very sophisticated business to achieve very sophisticated goals. I don't know, like for instance, like in medical field, like to probe and diagnose samples. I would say it's a very, very time-consuming and very expensive process. And one very important thing a lot of people tend to forget is that training a model as a process is not like something super crazy. You just need money, processing power, but the data you need to create the model, to train the model, this is the crucial part. And with AI, there's a very simple rule, which is even more important nowadays: garbage in, garbage out. This is old IT saying. With AI, it's even more important because if you're gonna use, let's say, low quality data to train a model, you're gonna have like a low quality model at the end with low quality output. So that's very important, and this is the huge problem. It's also like part of the whole responsibility to train the data, train on the data. What kind of data? We've seen a lot of new video clips through different social media platforms, like new Chinese models creating crazy video clips, like the Hollywood, the whole film industry, movie industry is doomed, I believe, in the future. But the problem is that those models were created with violation of IP, intellectual property, the copyright rights, because they were trained on real movies, blockbusters. Probably you know what I'm speaking of, which clips, if you're using social media, any one of you today. And that's a huge part of the whole responsibility, sustainable progress development of AI, and the whole aspect of validation of intellectual property. But that's something probably we can all agree to create a specific model with specific data to train fine tune the model. And in most cases, we go, those who are creating those models, in most cases, unfortunately, they're validating some intellectual property loss. So this is to conclude our discussion. We're gonna hit the 45 minutes time mark. Thank you for joining us, Daniel. Much appreciated. I'm super grateful we have you with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Closing remarks. Uh, as you know, mastermind discussions. It's not scripted. We're having like a real life interview, conversation, discussion around the table. I would like to warmly invite you for the next month for another session and hope to see you soon. Thank you for your attention. This webinar will be recorded. We're gonna publish it later on through our channels. It's gonna be visible to to rewatch. Daniel, one more time. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Daniel, any last word?
Enjoy the weather.
Thank you. Of course, it's a pleasure. Over and out.
Thank you very much.